Before you book your next flight, you need to hear this. Flying is no longer as simple as finding a cheap ticket, packing your bag, and showing up at the airport. The rules behind your trip are changing quietly, and the most frustrating part is that many passengers only discover them when it is already too late to make a better choice. One small detail in your ticket could cost you extra. One overlooked rule in your bag could slow you down. One assumption about the airport could turn a calm travel day into a stressful race to the gate. But here is the good news. If you know what is changing before you fly, you can protect your money, your time, and your peace of mind. In this video, we will break down the biggest airline and airport updates travelers need to know right now, so your next trip does not become more expensive, more confusing, or more stressful than it should be. And the first change is already hitting travelers before they even reach the airport, the moment they start searching for a ticket. Number 1. The price of flying is quietly getting higher. Many passengers are noticing the same uncomfortable thing. Fares do not look the way they used to. A trip that felt reasonable last year can suddenly feel too expensive this year, especially for families, retirees, or anyone traveling on a fixed budget. One major reason is rising airline costs, especially fuel. And when airlines pay more to operate, travelers usually feel it through higher fares, stricter ticket rules, or extra fees during booking. Even miles and points may not save you the way they once did. Many airlines now price award tickets based on demand. So when cash prices rise, the miles you need may rise too. That is why you should never judge a flight by the first price you see. Check the full total, compare nearby dates, and look carefully before you book, because the real cost of flying may be hiding in the details. And the next change is even more frustrating because it affects the bag many travelers still assume they can check without thinking twice. Number 2. Checked bag fees are becoming harder to ignore. Checked bags are getting more expensive, and for many passengers that fee can turn a good deal into a much more costly trip. On most major U.S. airlines, travelers now need to budget around $45 for one checked bag, and if you are flying round trip, that number adds up fast. What makes this especially frustrating is that many passengers do not see the full cost clearly when they first search for a fare. The ticket may look affordable at the beginning, but by the time you add luggage, seat selection, and other extras, the final price can feel very different. So before you book, do one simple thing. Calculate the real total. Include your bags, your seat, and anything you actually need for the trip. Because the cheapest ticket is not always the cheapest flight. Number 3. Late bag refunds can now come back automatically. Here is one update travelers should not miss, because this one can actually help you. If your checked bag arrives late, airlines must now refund your checked bag fee automatically. But the timing matters. For domestic flights, the bag must be more than 12 hours late. For international flights, the window is usually 15 to 30 hours depending on the length of the trip. The good part is that you should not have to argue with an agent or accept a travel voucher instead of money. The refund should go back to your original payment method unless you specifically agree to something else. But there is one step you cannot skip. If your bag does not appear at the carousel, go straight to the airline's baggage office before leaving the airport and file a report. That report is what helps trigger the refund process. Because when a bag goes missing, the worst mistake is walking away without proof. Number 4. Europe's new entry system could slow travelers down. For travelers heading to Europe, one of the biggest changes is happening at the border. The EU's new entry/exit system, known as EES, changes how many non-EU travelers are processed when they enter and leave participating European countries. Instead of relying on the old passport stamp, travelers may now be asked to use a kiosk, scan their passport, provide fingerprints, and have a photo taken. For some passengers, especially those who are not comfortable with new airport technology, this can feel confusing or stressful the first time. The bigger issue is time. When a new system rolls out across busy airports, lines can move slower than expected. So if you are flying through major European airports, give yourself more time than usual, especially on your return trip. Do not treat the airport like it will work exactly the way it did before. Because a smooth trip to Europe may now depend on arriving early, staying patient, and knowing what the new process looks like before you get there. Number 5. Boarding gates are starting to change. The next change is happening in a place every traveler knows: the boarding gate. Some airports and airlines are testing automated boarding gates where passengers scan their own boarding pass instead of handing it to an agent. The door to the jet bridge then opens automatically, while gate agents focus on other tasks nearby. For some travelers, this may feel faster and more modern. But for others, especially anyone who is uncomfortable with screen scanners or rushed boarding areas, it can feel confusing the first time. That is why it is important to slow down and pay attention at the gate. Have your boarding pass ready. Listen for instructions and do not be embarrassed to ask for help if the process looks unfamiliar. Technology may make boarding more efficient, but it can also create new moments of stress when passengers are not prepared. Because the airport is becoming more automated, and the travelers who adjust early will move through it with far less frustration. And the next rule is something many passengers carry in their bag without thinking twice. Number 6. Power bank rules are getting stricter. Power banks are useful especially on long travel days. But airlines are becoming stricter about how many you can bring, where you keep them, and how powerful they are. On most airlines, travelers may only be allowed to bring a limited number of power banks into the cabin. They should stay with you, not buried in an overhead bin, because lithium batteries need to be accessible if there is ever a problem. You should also check the watt-hour rating before you fly. Anything too powerful may need airline approval, and very large batteries may not be allowed at all. The safest habit is simple: keep your power bank in your personal item. Make sure the label is readable, and never assume every airline treats battery rules the same way. Because a small charger can become a big problem if it is packed in the wrong place. And the next change is about a fare that sounds premium, but may not include everything travelers expect. Number 7. Some cheap business class fares may not feel so premium. The next change is important for travelers who sometimes upgrade for comfort. A business class ticket usually sounds like a safer, easier, more relaxing choice. You expect better seats, better flexibility, more baggage, and a smoother airport experience. But some airlines are now introducing cheaper versions of business class that remove many of the perks travelers normally expect. You may not be able to choose your seat when booking. You may get fewer checked bags. Lounge access may not be included, and the ticket may still be non-refundable and difficult to change. That means a business class fare can look like a great deal at first, but feel disappointing once you read the fine print. So before paying extra, do not just look at the word business. Look at what is actually included. Because premium travel is only worth it when the benefits match the price. Number 8. Basic economy can cost more than it saves. The next change is one of the easiest traps to fall into. Basic economy looks tempting because the price is usually lower, but that cheaper fare can come with rules that make your trip much harder if anything changes. On many airlines, basic economy tickets are non-refundable and difficult or impossible to change. That means if your plans shift, even for a good reason, the money you thought you saved can disappear fast. And on some airlines, basic economy may also limit what you can bring on board or where you can place your bag. So a ticket that looked cheap at first may end up costing more once you add luggage seats or flexibility. Before booking, ask yourself one question. What happens if my plan changes? Because sometimes the cheapest ticket is only cheap when everything goes perfectly. And right now, there is one simple timing trick that could still help travelers save real money this summer. Number 9. The cheapest days to fly can still make a difference. Even with prices rising, there are still smart ways to lower the cost of your trip. One of the simplest is choosing the right day to fly. For many summer routes, Tuesday and Wednesday are still often cheaper than the busiest travel days. And if your schedule is flexible, shifting your trip later in the season can also help. Flights in August may be noticeably cheaper than flights in July, especially when families are rushing to travel during peak summer weeks. This does not mean every Tuesday flight will be cheap or every August ticket will be a bargain, but it does mean timing matters more than many travelers think. So before you book the first fare that looks acceptable, compare a few nearby dates. Move your departure by 1 or 2 days. Check the return date too. Sometimes the savings are not hidden in a promo code, they are sitting quietly on the calendar. Number 10. Southwest is no longer the same simple airline. For years, Southwest had a clear identity: no complicated seating, no first-class cabin, and 2 checked bags included. But that old experience is changing quickly. Now travelers are seeing higher baggage costs, assigned seating, and more changes coming to the cabin. For some passengers, assigned seats may sound helpful, but the rollout has also created new frustrations, especially when overhead bins fill before passengers reach their row, or when families do not end up sitting together. That matters because many people booked Southwest expecting the old Southwest easy, flexible, and less stressful than other airlines. So if you have not flown them recently, do not assume the process will feel the same. Check the bag policy, review your seat assignment, and understand what is included before travel day. Because when an airline changes its identity, the travelers who rely on old habits are the ones most likely to be caught off guard. Flying today is not just about getting from one place to another. It is about knowing the rules before the rules cost you money and/or peace of mind. Airlines are changing how they price tickets. Handle bags, process boarding, reward loyal travelers, and even manage what you can bring on board. Airports are changing too, from visitor passes to automated gates and longer security lines. But the good news is this: prepared travelers still have more control than they think. Before your next flight, check the fine print plan. Your timing, carefully protect your essentials, and never assume the airport will work exactly the way it used to. If this video helped you travel smarter and avoid costly surprises, subscribe to Flying After 60 for more clear, practical travel tips. And I'll see you in the next video.